Oh my god. What is this? What is this? Oh my gosh, that is the funniest thing ever. Alright, Ben, cover me.
What's up everybody, Swank Squad here, dropping this video to show you some of my favorite Warframes, the builds I have for them, and the way I like to use them, or the strategy I have for them. Hopefully this can help some new players, and maybe some old players who are interested in the Warframe, but they're not exactly sure how or what to use them for, or even where to start. So, let's get started. So for today's video, I'm going to use IVARA. IVARA is probably my favorite Warframe. Reason why, you can use her for a variety of missions. Sure, you can use any Warframe you want for a mission. But I particularly like IVARA because she's got a lot of utility and can be very strong as well. Some disadvantages she does have is she does have low health, she's got low shields, and she doesn't really have an ability that can negate damage or keep you protected from enemy fire. Well, sort of. For example, Mesa's Shatter Shield. You can activate that and you can run around and kill enemies and not really worry about dodging bullets. You don't have to be aware of enemy attacks or really taking huge amounts of damage. I feel IVARA can really test your skill and also look pretty cool doing it. I mean, she kind of has this hood, so that's pretty cool. I like to take IVARA in all types of missions. Only when I feel that can really cause you some stress in a mission are those long survival runs. But if you have the right team, it doesn't cause too much stress, as if you were doing it solo. For my first build, I like to go max efficiency and decent strength, and keep my other abilities at base. I like to stay efficient because Warframe abilities can really take you further than just your weapons, and being able to use those abilities consistently throughout the mission can truly make a difference. And I also run with decent strength because your Artemis bow scales really well off of your primary mods, so you don't have to go crazy in strength, but once you get to a certain percentage, you really start to notice a difference in that strength. So primarily with this build, I like to run assassination missions, capture missions, maybe some solo survivals, and possibly a solo sortie if I'm feeling lucky. But of course, you can totally run this with your friends as well. But if I'm running with this build, I'm not really a team player. For my second build, it's primarily strength focused for running anything where I need to dish out a lot of damage. For example, Banshee using her sonar, Bobbin in those late survivals, Mag in those late survivals, or other Warframe abilities that benefit from a high damaging weapon or ability. Really anything where I need to dish out a lot of damage with the Artemis bow, which I believe is probably one of the strongest weapons in the game next to the Hysteria Claws and Mesa's Peacemakers, and you can throw in the Exalted Blade for Excalibur, but it depends how you look at that. And lastly, for my third build, it's mostly ran for utility or anything in a team setting. I use this for mobile defense, excavation, defense, anything where I need to protect an objective or keep my teammates invisible or move the enemy to a specific area. And this can also be very useful for spy missions. I primarily like this build because it really uses the utility over Artemis bow to its full advantage with good range, decent duration, and enough efficiency to get by. It's not very strong, but the Artemis bow, like mentioned earlier, is still pretty strong, so you don't have to go crazy in strength. But at 70%, it's not too bad. You can still get by, but once it gets to those higher level missions is when it starts to get a little bit stressful. And just a quick tip, her Artemis bow, it scales off of your primary mods. It doesn't really matter the weapon that you use, it's more particular on the mods. I usually run with the same setup and possibly switch the mods around for specific builds. Unfortunately though, some of those special mods, they don't affect the Artemis bow. I'm not too sure why. I don't know if it's a bug or they just don't want you to use these mods, because I get it, you'd be very overpowerful, but sometimes being overpowerful in those endgame missions really help big time. But I don't know if it's a bug. I tested it out. Didn't really work for me, may work for you, not too sure, but didn't work for me. After looking at all of IVARA's ability, like with other Warframes, you're always going to find another Warframe that does that ability better. For example, IVARA's Prowl is Loki's Invisible, IVARA's Ultimate is like Mesa's Peacemaker, and IVARA putting almost everybody to sleep is like Equinox putting an entire map to sleep. You're always going to find that other Warframe that does that ability better. But I think what IVARA brings, she brings a little bit more versatility and allows you to use their abilities to an extent, of course, which I think is pretty cool. A strategy on how I use IVARA, I run around with the Artemis bow for a good portion of the mission, if not all. I use the Zenuric focus, and when you activate this, it gives you that passive of 4 energy per second. So if I'm low on energy, I'll drop a cloak arrow down really quick and refill on some energy, and almost use IVARA as a sentry until my energy is restacked or high enough to keep on going and running around. But aside from that, every now and then I'll drop a cloak arrow and take out enemies or just put them to sleep. With a max prime flow or regular flow, her energy pool is pretty big, so you definitely can cast these two consistently throughout the mission. If dropping the cloak arrow gets too stressful, which it can sometimes, I totally get it, you can definitely stay in prowl and do pretty much the same thing, just you won't regenerate your energy with the Zenuric focus, and it'll consistently fall. And if you're running with a weapon that is classed as noisy, you'll be brought out of prowl until you stop shooting that weapon, which can give your enemies a window to damage you, so you gotta be careful there. Navigator isn't too bad either. I think a short duration blind ability to quickly get out of harm's way would be pretty cool, but for now, I guess you can navigate a projectile to do high damage. It's sometimes useful. This strategy can be used for any of the builds mentioned earlier, but choose accordingly. If you're running the first or the second build, you'd probably do better in more solo-friendly missions like survival, assassination, or deception, I guess. If you're running the third build, it's focused more for those team-orientated missions like mobile defense, excavation, interception, defense, you name it. Those missions can be run solo, but like with any of those missions, you definitely need some crowd control. So that's why her third build is set that way, to help you if you were feeling pro and wanted to run those solo. Also, something that's pretty fun, you can use prowl with your melee weapon, and the ability doesn't take you out of prowl while you're using that melee weapon. So if you like to swing your sword all over the place, this is going to be a pretty fun way to do it. So, just to quickly recap, drop those cloak arrows, kill or put enemies to sleep, use prowl to get out of a bad situation, and destroy everything with the Artemis bow. You can use navigator if you want to try to get that one-shot kill, or the noise arrow for that good crowd control. Overall, I say IVARA is definitely worth a try. She's very solo focused. It can really teach or test you how to manage your abilities throughout an entire mission. But the downside, let's be honest, IVARA is extremely tough to get. She's heavily RNG focused. You have to consistently run those spy missions until you get her. So, 3 ways you can get her. 1, get a part-time job or full-time job, save up some money, buy her with platinum. 2, you can farm those void missions, rack up some prime parts, sell those prime parts for platinum, and then buy her with platinum, of course. Or number 3, you can farm those spy missions and hopefully one day you get IVARA, but it will take the better portion of your Warframe life, so good luck to you there. What I did personally, I farmed those void missions, sold the prime parts, and then I went and got IVARA. So that's how I did it. Maybe you can try another way, but once again, she's heavily RNG focused. So once again, good luck to you. For my next video, I'm probably going to be looking at Mesa. Mesa is probably my second favorite Warframe that I like to run with. She's pretty versatile as well, but I primarily like her Peacemakers because it's really cool. So that's all I have to say. I can truly talk all day. Have a swank day. I hope to see you in the next video.